so we're going into Canva. We had a good discussion yesterday. The discussion yesterday was around, let's see, hold on. Demand steps. Working on the speakers, yeah. So the discussion yesterday was talking about the things that you need to think about as you get ready to move towards actually producing your first book. And again, you can make it very simple if you want to just write it all up in Google Docs and, create a cover on Canva and make it very simplistic. You can do that. Or if it's something that you really, and there are some very simple books out there that are making a lot of money. So I'm not saying it has to be terribly complicated. Or you can do a little bit of research. As I mentioned 2 days ago, there's a couple of research tools that you can do research, use research to figure out about your niche. You can also use some of the other tools that I mentioned for keyword research. But I think, like I said before, everyone on this call, their niche has been validated. So the first part of this journey is just seeing the vision or the goal or the end game of what you want to do and write it out. It may just start off with one book because I don't want you to be overwhelmed. So you can start off with just one book, but you still have to have a vision or a goal for that one book. And it could be a low content book, or it could be a book that has a lot of content. Low content books are more like notebooks or journals, books that don't have a lot of words or have any words in some cases. They may just have lines so people can write. They may just have the dots for people that want to track, what do they call those? I forget what it's called, but it has the dots on it. So you can track your habits. I forget what the book is called. And so there's all kinds of different books that you can create. You can create checklist books. You can create anything that you want to that is simplistic. Or you can actually put a little bit more content on the inside, a little more detail. So first thing, start with the vision. That's what we talked about yesterday. Next, you need to do a little research on that vision, that goal, whatever the end game is for this particular product that you want to roll out. You need to figure out, do some keyword research. You need to figure out what your topic is going to be, or even your title. You got to go look at the sales for that particular category and then go and analyze your competition on a couple of different platforms. You can go to the book selling platforms, and you can also go to Amazon and just do some research on your specific topic. Find your competitors or people that are in a related niche. As I said before, like mine is different. So I'm not in a place where my entire niche and idea has been fully vetted out because no one's ever done it before. And you may have a version of something that no one has ever done before. Maybe you've seen variations, like I've seen planners out there, but I've not seen what I'm about to create. So you may have an idea and you've not seen your version of what you're about to create. So that's going to require you long-term, bigger picture to figure out how you're going to gain some momentum and some traction in that area. And it's also going to require a little bit of patience as you go on that journey. So you're going to need to make some decisions, as we said yesterday, about whatever you choose. And you have to decide, is this going to be something I'm just going to do and I'm just trying it out and I'm not going to do any major branding. I'm not going to need any trademarks or copyrights or anything like that. Or am I actually building a legacy? If you decide you're going to build a legacy, you're going to make some yes and no decisions. Like, do I need a trademark? Do I need to establish a company, an LLC, or am I just going to stick with a sole proprietor? Am I going to do a copyright? What type of book am I going to do? Hardcover, flip book, ebook, photo book, comic book. What kind of books are you going to create? And then the contents of that book, whether it be a lot or a little, low content or lots of content. And then start with one thing so you're not paralyzed at all. I mean, I know this part of it is overwhelming, but you got to start somewhere. When you're beginning the process of starting, you've got to figure out what your cover situation is going to be. We talked about submitting that out to someone else. And then based on your competitors, like I said, I bought probably about 7 different planners, just so I could kind of get a look and feel of the layout and what they chose for the colors and the font and the design, and then the usability and getting people's feedback on how they felt about the planners that I bought, their usability. So I just kind of did a local focus group, and I said, okay, I want you to sit down and I want you to use this planner. And they're like, huh? Like, so I could get some feedback because I wanted to design something that was easier to use than what was already out there. Possibly, we don't know. And then, you're going to decide what your layout is going to be. And so, if there's some existing mock-ups out there, you can use that. If not, coming up with your own, then, how many pages is this thing going to be? So if you're doing a journal, and it's a writing journal, how many pages do you want to do? What's the average number of pages for a writing journal? Are you going to do a 365 journal? Are you going to do a weekly journal? Is it a daily journal? Is it a monthly journal? Like, what are you doing? And if it's not a journal, like if you're going to do recipe books or you're going to do other types of books, how many pages do you think this is going to be? And then the content that goes on there. So that content research, which is what I was talking to Charlotte about or asking her about, like you got to do a little bit of research. It is going to require some of your time. So this is not overwhelming for you. Maybe start off with, I'm going to work on my print on demand business. If you're going to do 1 hour every single week, let's say, 1 hour every single day on a weekly basis. If you're going to do 1 hour a day, maybe just choose one day to work on your vision for the book, then use 1 day of planning for the other 5 days of print on demand products. So that way you can continue to whittle away at your project. If you have the bandwidth and you have the time and you have the resources to go ahead and make this thing happen in 2 months or 3 months, then go do it. Fast track it and make it happen and go live. If you don't have the bandwidth or the resources or the time, then you have to be prepared to stretch this out over a little bit of time. But creating those daily print on demand designs, whether they be in flashcards or note cards or information sheets, will help you be able to migrate those products over to your book and save you a little bit of time. Change the formatting. You have to figure out who your printing partner is going to be, who's going to print it. Are you going to print it, or are you going to use a publisher? Are you going to, this is where I stopped yesterday. So your printing partner, so is it yourself? Are you going to do like something simple like an ebook where you're not going to go with anybody? You're just going to publish it yourself, and you're going to have maybe a website, maybe you don't. I don't know. You can put it on KDP, call it a day. Are you actually going to go with a POD printer and have it be printed when people buy it, like Lulu? Or are you going to order it and you want it in with a publishing, like not necessarily a publishing house, but on a site where it has the opportunity to potentially be put inside of bookstores? So a bigger market. Okay. So I forget what that is called at this very moment. I don't know why I can't think of that, but oh God, what is that called? I don't know. So a publisher site, I'm going to call it that for right now. So there's print on demand providers like Ingram Spark that will allow, and same thing with Lulu, they will allow you, they will publish your book for you or print it for you and actually put it out into the network so that it's available for people to buy online for online publishers or printers. And it'll also be available in bookstores, like physical bookstores. Sometimes the books that you see like in Costco and Sam's Club, that's where those books are coming from. When you see them on that table and there's just a bunch of books on the table, it's coming from places like that. So again, you have the ability to do that inside of Lulu. There's an additional charge for that. I can't remember what the name of it is right now because I'm trying to think of it. You also have to figure out what your price point is going to be. If you're going to publish it yourself and just do an ebook, like you can charge whatever you want to for an ebook. You want to make sure that the market will bear it. Like you can't charge $99 for an ebook and you got like, I don't know, 25, 40 pages. And, unless this ebook is going to guarantee that they're going to get something spectacular, you're not going to be able to charge that. So you You might have a price. Some ebooks I've seen, they range anywhere from, $35.99 down to $3.99. So you figure out your pricing. If you're using one of the sites, then they'll give you an estimated amount of your portion, and that includes KDP. So you list it for whatever price, and this will be your royalty or your portion of the profit. So on KDP, it's listed as a royalty, but on other platforms, it'll tell you that this is how much you're going to make. This is how much the book is going to cost. And then you decide how much you want to sell it on the different platforms. And the other thing, don't forget, well, we're going to get there. You're going to list this on other sites as well. So you're going to figure out your pricing, get some samples. You do need to order some samples after you've kind of designed it, figured out who your printing partner is going to be, how much you're going to charge for it. And then you're going to go through creating your listing. You can list it on other marketplaces, eBay, you can sell books, Etsy, you can sell books, Amazon, you can sell books, or KDP. And then you can decide if you want to push it out to any of the other book-related platforms. There's a lot of book-related platforms, and there's a lot of print on demand where you can create the book and then publish it on the same site with the print on demand provider. If you're going to do something where you want it to be part of a legacy that you're building, probably long-term, bigger picture, want to build a website for it. You can choose to build a funnel instead of a website. And there's different services that are available that will help you. My only suggestion to you, only because I have worked with so many different people where somebody else built the website for them and then they need to change one thing, like move this button from this side to this side. And I'm like, pick a tool that you have some level of understanding about the site. I don't like to be kidnapped, hijacked. I have to surrender to someone else maintaining my stuff. I don't want to always do all the work, but I don't always want to hire somebody else to do the work either. So there's a lot of sites out there where it can be very simplistic, like Wix or Weebly, where it's not terribly difficult to create your own website. And then there are some that are way more involved and require a specific set of skills. So if you're going to do a website, I just would encourage you to have some level of knowledge on how to do some basic stuff, so you don't always have to pay for somebody to update it. Like, oh, I want to have a sale this week. I want to do a Black Friday sale. Okay, you got to hire somebody just to set up your Black Friday sale banner and flashing stuff. So I would not do that. So just keep that in mind. And also keep in mind that if you're going to have your own site and you're going to do some level of marketing, you're going to have to do some, your own ads. So ads or marketing, cross-listing it on the other platforms can help you, making sure you have your own page, which is the thing we started out in stage 1, where we talked about establishing your presence for your brand. So putting it on the page, the brand page that you have decided to create, or maybe it gets its own page, depending on what the title is. Maybe it gets its own page. So all of that is part of this journey. And this, again, could be a 1-month journey for you if you have the time, the bandwidth, and the resources, or it could be a 12-month journey. Not saying that it will be, but it could be, depending on how much time and effort you're willing to put into the business. But like I said yesterday, it is definitely worth it. It is. It's something that will sell over and over again, and you'll get a lot of traction over time. So let's go and talk about the inside of the book. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask those questions now. Whatever questions you have, feel free to go ahead and ask them. Any? No? All right. I'm just going to go ahead and pull up the planner. Oh, I hope I don't make any changes to it by accident. Okay. So as I said yesterday, when you are creating a book or whatever it is that you're creating, one, you always have to think about how will this work with the person that's actually buying it, your customer. Like, how are they, what are they expecting at the beginning of the book? What are they potentially expecting at the end of the book? What problem am I solving that I need to make sure the book includes? What, if it is a problem that I'm solving? If it's just informational, like I'm just going to do a picture book, then it's okay. What are the pictures that are going to interest this particular target audience that I am targeting? You know, who is the person that's going to buy my book? So when you're thinking about that, you do have to think about the cover, and you also have to think about the inside and the layout. So again, I bought a bunch of planners, and I bought some high-end planners. One of the planners that I bought, I don't know if you guys know who Brendan Bouchard is, but he has a high performance planner, and it's really nice. So not that he's my competition, but Bouchard, there it is. High performance planner. Okay. So high performance habits. So he has a book. This is one of those examples of where I said there's a book and then there's a planner, where I talked about my 90-day planner. So there's a book and then there's a planner that goes with it. So he has high performance habits and he's got a high performance planner. So I bought this high performance planner along with a whole bunch of other ones. I bought a 90-day planner. See, I bought it last year just so I could have something to reference. And I knew we were going to do something undated because I wanted to see what the inside looked like. And I don't think that there's any pictures on the inside. But what I did notice as I was making decisions about my planner, about my product, is I kind of took some inspiration, of course, all the time from others. Like, I've never created a book before. So that inside, this planner belongs to. So that was one of the things that I put in mind as I opened up some of the other high-end planners that I bought. I noticed the same thing. This planner belongs to. So that's kind of nice, you know, like if somebody loses it. I also bought the 90-day X goal planner. I think it was, yeah. That was another one. $90X. It is. Yeah. Daily productivity. I got so many planners, it's crazy. So I bought this one just so I could see undated. Again, what the inside of it looked like and what the pages, kind of how they were laid out. Not that I wanted to take their pages. I just wanted to have an idea of how they, you know, flowed and what the contents may or may not look like. And then some of the other pieces of information that they had about that particular planner. So again, that's going to help you. Then the next thing is doing the actual content. So you have to decide, is this thing going to be printed on regular white paper, or is it going to be printed on that soft paper? I talked about it before. If you're sitting there reading all day long, there's a reason why newspapers are not just white. It's not white paper. I don't know if you've ever paid attention to that, but it's not. There's a reason why a lot of like books and manuals are not just white paper. It's sort of a soft white or manila or something like that. So if it is, then that's something you have to keep in mind. You don't have to in Canva choose a color. You don't have to do that. But when you get ready to print it, you want to make sure that your supplier, your printer actually has the ability to print it that way. Then the other pieces are, you know, how things are laid out in the book. So one of the things that I did was, let me just choose this. I hope I don't change anything. Make it big, Nicole. This one. Okay. So I had to decide what the font was going to be. What's the font style? What is it going to be? Also figure out the margins. So this is just a text box. You can get a text box from going over to text, and you literally can just choose that text box. And then once you choose the text box, you can choose the type of font that you want from the drop down at the top. You can also choose the size of the font. So each one of these is their own little They're all separate. They're not in the same box. And I just did it. Okay. I knew that was going to happen. Don't let me touch your stuff. Me and this mouse. Okay. So it moved it anyway. Come on. I don't want to move it. I just want it to stay the same. There we go. All right. Hopefully it won't move this time. Okay. Well, if it does, I'll yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. Exit full screen. Sometimes me and this mouse and keypad do not agree with each other. And even if I click out of the space, we don't agree. So anyway, as I go down and look at the bottom half, each one of these are their own block. Every single one of them is their own block. And so you're going to find that as you go on this journey, as you're putting the text in, for me, it was easier to type the text inside of Google Docs and then paste it into my little chat box. And then you can select all on the text. So you can select all the text. Let me not screw this up, but you can select all the text by going to the front. And I just kind of hold on the shift key and scroll down, and that'll be all the text in that block. If I need to select all the text in that block, I do that, and then I can change the drop down to choose what is the font style that I want. I can also choose the size, and I can also choose the font color. So you can choose the font color. If you know what your color code is, then you can go with that. If you don't know what your color code is, then you can test a couple of different font colors. And you may find, I would encourage you that as you are making these decisions about your book, make sure that you make a note of the decision that you made. What is the font that you're using for the inside? What is the color of the font that you're using for the inside? Because there's nothing like closing it and then coming back, and then you chose the wrong thing, and then it goes to print, and you're trying to figure out, why does this font look different? Like, okay, what happened here? It's going to be some of the simplest stuff that will look weird, possibly. The other thing is when you are working with text, if you're going to do text, you want to make sure that you're aware of the margins and how far you are from the margins. So inside of Canva, you do have a ruler. And I'm going to try to do this without messing things up. I never remember where the ruler is. Fine. No. Give me just a second. I'll find the ruler. Planner. I never remember where it is. More. It is it in here? No, it's not there. Give me just a second. I know where the ruler is. I just can't think of it only because I'm trying to talk about it. It's folder. Show margins. There we go. So under file, if you go to file, then you'll find it under show margins. And you also have rulers. So you can show the margins of whatever it is that you're creating. And you can also show the ruler. And the ruler is going to show how much space you have from the edge of each piece of paper. Why does that matter? Well, when we were uploading it to Lulu, that was one of the things that I was talking about, the margins and the bleed and all of that stuff. Over time, you'll get to understand that better because you can upload it to Lulu and actually see how far you are from the edges, and then come back and make adjustments. So the margins are designed to be at least 1 inch all the way around. As you can see, we're not writing 1 inch all the way around. It's that faded line. I'm going to zoom in and zoom back out. But if you see that faded line around there, That is this little faded line right here. That's my margins. So that's a 1-inch margin all the way around. And if you use that, you can see where it is, see where everything is. But if you don't want to use that, you don't have to. We uploaded it up to Lulu and we decided what we wanted to do from there. So you can show the margins, you can do show, print, bleed. All of these things you have the ability to do before you download it and upload it, download it as a PDF and upload it to whichever platform that you are about to print on. If you need to change the size of your entire document, the resize feature works the same way. You can resize the entire document. You can decide what it's going to be. So if the different, yesterday when we were looking at the different sizes, like there'll be an A5 and an A7, and there'll be an 8.5 by 11, and there'll be a 10 by 7, and there'll be all these different choices. And you're like, way too many choices. Depending on the type of book that you're about to produce, whatever type it is, whether it's a journal, a notebook, whether it's a cookbook, whether it's a endangered species book, whether it's a kid's preschool workbook, whatever it happens to be, you can do a Google search to figure out what the average size or the regular size of those particular products are right now. And then you can base your product off of that size. So if the average size of a kid's preschool workbook is 8.5 by 11, then choose 8.5 by 11. If the average size of a cookbook is whatever, then, choose that. You can choose whatever you want, and they'll give you lots of options. All the platforms are going to give you options when it comes to sizing. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you make the decision. I want you to write down and keep track of all of your decisions. What size of this book is it going to be? Am I going to have, what am I printing on the front and the back cover? Am I just printing on the front cover and having a solid color on the back side? Or am I actually going to have something on the front and the back? So who did I submit orders to for my covers? Make a note of who you submitted orders to for your covers. And then what was the feedback? Ask your family and friends about the covers. What was the feedback that they gave you? They voted, and these were the 3 that they liked, or this was the one that they liked. So all of those things you want to make a note of, so that as you're beginning to put this thing together, if your note cards or your flashcards or your whatever you built, information sheets, were done in, I don't know, Open Sans font, and you decide that you're producing your book in some other font, then that way you don't confuse it. You can literally copy it over and then change the font size when you copy it over. You don't get confused about what you've decided to do. Decide on what your color is going to be, as we said early on in the journey, when it comes to branding. What might your color be for your particular book? So that way everything that you produce has the same look and feel when it comes to your products and your books. So like for us, do I have this book downloaded? No, on my computer. Hold on. One of my VA's names is Poonam, and I never can find her stuff because I switched computers, and that's the reason why I have so many problems right now. It's okay. I switched a whole bunch of stuff. So there she is. And let me find it with attachments. So she did an amazing book. We have 2 books. Here they are. We have 2 ebooks that have not been published yet. And let me reduce the size. Oh, I can't reduce the size. Okay. So this is an ebook, Seller's Action Guide to Launching Your Business. This came from our summit. Let me just download these. That's ESS 1 and ESS 2. So if I go through the checklist that I just told you that you should go through, the first thing that and I don't want to open it this way. Here, go to downloads and go to downloads. There we go. So one of the first things that I said is, okay, I got to make some decisions on what the content is going to be. I got to make some decisions on, am I going to do branding long term or not? So all of these decisions. Let's see. Okay, this cover is wrong, but that's okay. So the first part of the cover is right. This blue, whatever she did down here is wrong. But, we decided that our book was going to be an ebook. So we were going straight into the introductions instead of having a blank page and information about eCom Seller Summit. And it goes straight into, we decided it was going to be the table of contents. You decide the font color. And we also decided we're going to make these clickable since it was going to be an ebook. So if somebody bought it, they could just click on it and go to that person. But anyway, the table of contents, the banner, the font that was being used, and then each one of the speakers and what they talked about in the summit, so that it, at the end of the day, it becomes, I think Charlotte's in here. I think you're in this first one, Charlotte, maybe. Oh, Dallas. So that it was a good summary about each one of the speakers. We decided on what the outline colors are going to be. Then we decided on what the text color is going to be. So you can see that throughout the book, there's like the blue headline and then the black text, and the blue headline and the black text. She still has some stuff she needs to fix on the spacing, but for the most part, like, it actually flows going from speaker to speaker. I'm showing all the pages. But in any case, we had to make some decisions about that. And then we also had to decide, okay, what were we going to put at the end? What were we going to put in the middle? What were the things that we were going to make sure that we wanted to cover if the person had not participated or attended the summit? We did the same thing for the Q4 book. We decided on what the layout was going to be so you could see what the final product looked like. So this one, I don't know what's going on with these bottoms, but anyway, that they were going to be, this is supposed to go all the way to the bottom, so I don't know what happened there. But anyway, it's the same thing, is that so that way, if anybody bought anything from us, then it would have the same look and feel, that you would know that it came from eCom Sellers because of the fact that the layout is very similar. There's a level of continuity that goes with it. So if you buy our planners, there's a level of continuity that goes with it. It all has the same look and feel. So that's what we decided for our ebook. I'm just showing page by page versus just showing one page at a time. But you have to do all of that initial planning that we previously talked about, which is back to here, going back to this list. So as you're going on this journey, decide on, again, what are my margins going to be? Am I going to write everything so it's a 1 inch all the way around? If I am doing, if you're doing a notebook, some people decide that they're going to do a notebook lined. But my question to you is going to be, if you're going to do a notebook, are you going to do a digital version of it as well? So if people want to take online notes. And so if you're going to do a digital version, then you want to make sure that you have Adobe Acrobat, Adobe, so that way you can have these text boxes where people can type in the middle of the text box to take their notes. So are you only just going to sell a physical version of it, or are you going to offer a digital version of it? The great thing about the digital version is it never has to be printed. You have no printing cost. You have no shipping cost. You literally could have no email cost, and you possibly could have no creation cost other than the cost of putting it inside of Canva. If you're going to do a journal and you want it to be lined inside of Canva, they have lined pages. So you can use lined page. So you can use some of the templates that are already out there that are lined pages. If you don't like the border, you don't have to use the border, but you can use some of the lined pages that are already there, change them to make them work for you. So then that way you don't have to do all these lines. That was one of the things, like I had to show my VA, like, you don't have to do all these lines. You can copy these lines if they're already grouped. So in this example, I'm just choosing this one. If all these lines are already grouped, if they're not grouped, you can group them. But if they are grouped, you can ungroup them. So if I wanted to group, I'm not going to do this very well from here because I'm just going to choose about 3 lines. You have to shift and hold down each one that you want to group. So if you wanted to group all these lines and grab the entire thing, it's the same thing that we did with the pictures. I could go ahead and group them all together so that now when I pick this up, It's taking all of the lines together. No matter where I put this, I literally can copy and paste it into another project so that you don't have to write or do the lines on your own. Okay. Anytime you screw something up, clearly you can do undo. So I would encourage you to use the undo, which is up here. But figure out your font, figure out your color, figure out your font size, figure out your borders. You got to figure out the content that you want on the page and the layout of that content. All of those things are part of your planning process. So as you're going through that journey, you can use this little checklist and you can fill in the things that are applicable, or you're going to be taking notes as you go through this process. So you can write down your notes or your answers, or you can have a blank sheet of paper so that when you come back to it, this is what I decided, blah, blah, blah. And again, I know that it sounds like it's a lot. I don't want you to 100% overthink it. I don't want you to do analysis paralysis where you don't take any action whatsoever. I need you to take action because you can do this. There are people out here that are making a lot of money doing books, whether it is KDP, whether it is low content books, whether they're publishing their own books. They're making a lot of money. I'm not going to tell you you're going to be the richest person in the world, but I will tell you, if you do really good keyword research, if you do a really good job with your cover, if you do a good job with marketing, you will get some traction on your book, and it's out there forever, and you don't ever have to touch it again. Ever. You could still be getting sales 10 years from now. So if you want to leave a legacy, I encourage you to make some decisions so that way, if you create a lot of stuff and put it out in the universe, that your kids can continue to receive the royalty when you're no longer here. So I don't know if this helped any, but I just wanted to make sure that we went through the layout. We went through some of the stuff that you can do inside of Canva. You know, a lot of it we've already covered, but doing the text part of it is important. Figuring out, you know, how you want it to lay out. And so if you're going to do, like on our planner, let me just pull this up. In our planner, we have some shaded areas and some non-shaded areas. If you're going to do something like this, where there's a shaded blue line up here, go up here. We've got the shaded gray lines in the middle and the blue lines up here. Like, this is all lines. And what we did was we built a grid. And so these little boxes, once you create it, you can copy it and paste and copy and paste. We lined them up. So it's the same thing. So if I'm not going to screw this up, so let me go to something else and I'll show you what I mean one last time before we get off of here. I'm going to choose this one because I'm just going to choose it. So if I wanted to take one of these squares, I can reduce the size of the square. Get it back to be a square, but anyway, once I get it back to be a square, but it's not really a square right now. Okay. So let's say that's a perfect square. Don't know that it is, but we're just going to go with it. So all I did was I went over to my elements and I chose a square. I can choose the color and I can make it one of these colors if I want it to be that. And then once I have created it, I can copy it. And if I'm doing grid lines, I can create the next one, copy it, doing grid lines, create the next one. This was not perfect, but anyway. And then copy the next one. So if I was sort of quasi recreating that calendar, even though it's vertical instead of, sorry, it's horizontal instead of vertical, then I can go and I can create lines. I'm going to copy this particular line. It already exists. I can rotate it. And okay, once I rotate it, I can duplicate it again. Grab it. So if this was really a calendar, this is how this gets created. This is one way to do it. This is not the only way to do it. You can go copy something that already exists and just edit it. Then what I end up having is something very similar to the calendar that I showed you. And I did that, I don't know, Even with my jacked up mouse, I did that pretty quickly. I didn't spend a lot of time on it. And then once I get this going the way that I want it to be, this little block thing, I can click on them, select all, I can group it. Then once I group it, I can duplicate it again and move it down to the next set of calendar lines. And then I could do that again. Whoops, stop. And I can move that. I don't know if I duplicate it or not. I can't tell. Okay. And then I can move it to the next set of calendar lines. So now I have something that's very similar to what we just saw, and I didn't spend a lot of time doing it. If I wanted to get my gray lines in there, again, this stupid, thank you. So if I wanted to get my gray lines in there, first I can go in here, again, just recreating this grid that you just saw. And because I want the lines to show through, I can just send that to the back. And oops, I don't want to send that to the back. Hold on. Can't get it back. Undo. There we go. In this lifetime, Nicole. All right, so at some point, I'll be able to get my box. All right, so there, one of them came forward, so I'll just do that instead. It took forever. Anyway, but you get the idea. My problem is I have issues. So my line came forward because my other one clearly was not going to work. There we go. So now my tan line or my gray line is in there, and I pulled it forward. And I can just, once I create that gray line, once I have it, I can copy and I can paste it again. And I mean, you probably want to undo. You probably want to do that all at once and then, have the lines come forward. But anyway, you get the idea. So I could do a page very quickly. And I know that I do this very quickly. It might take you a minute because you got to grab different things and, click here and click there. But I just want you to know that it's possible. It's possible to create documents that have charts and grids or lined paper. You can go take an existing and use that as your source to get the lines started. And then you can group the entire thing together and copy and paste it into your particular product. You can use that as the starting point and continue going. You can start, create text boxes, which I talked about before, and you can decide, okay, I am going to use XYZ font and it's going to say whatever. So you have the ability to, there's all of this that you can do. Everybody here is capable of doing this. I promise you, you got this. You can do this. So I am going to, last thing I'm going to do, because I did run over, is I did want to tell you about a person who I think is absolutely amazing. So she's a single mom like me. She has 2 special needs kids like I do. She is active on Etsy, and she has her own store. And her kids are 19, or she's 19 or 20. They're twins, and they have, she has 2 Nicholases, I guess is the best way to say it. Whereas, Tony is functional. Nicholas is functional too, but there are times where her kids are not where my kids are. Okay. So she's doing it. She's riding solo like I am. And she does not have a lot of help. So she runs her business at night. She lives here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area when her kids go to sleep, and she does it early in the morning. And she has an amazing Etsy store. And one of the things she did was she started off at one of those little antique shops where you have a little booth and you can create some things and put it on the side. So she actually started like tinkering around and making some things, small things, just to kind of release the stress, which I completely understand. And So she made a bunch of little small things, which were totally amazing. And then she got into print on demand. And her store is called Chanel's Creations. And one day I'm going to be able to interview her, because she and I talk all the time, but I'm like, all this time that you and I are talking, I could have interviewed you by now. But she's got a shop and she has a lot of print on demand products. She does this as a single mom, 2 special needs kiddos, running her business by herself with very little help. Her kids help like take stuff to the store and stuff like that. I want to see all products. I don't just want to see this product. There we go. So this is Facebook Marketplace and Facebook Shops. So she does the tumblers, she does stickers. She is very active, of course, in the autism community. And this is not all of her stuff. This is just some of her stuff. She has a lot of stuff that's on her Facebook wall. And so when you think, okay, this is hard and I can't do this, and maybe you've got a way more stuff going on than she does, but she's sort of my hero, because I know what it's like just to have Nicholas. And so to be able to have to do this, multiple times, it's a lot of work. She's gotten to the place where she's printing on different things. People will bring her things and she will print on those. Clearly she's got her, look at that, Christmas ready. Okay. Print on demand. Okay. So I'm saying this is possible. This is possible. This is possible. This is her link tree. And I just love everything that she's done. So hold on just a second. This is, just see. Where's your store, girlfriend? Etsy. Let's see. So this is, she's got a Stickers by Chanel store. She does well, 4,000 sales. She's doing shirts, tumblers, stickers, Christmas. And I can remember when she started and I started. I can remember when we started. So I just want to encourage you that you have a gift, you have a talent, you have something that's within you. I don't want you to give up. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. If you feel like the first thing you want to do from a book standpoint is just do a journal that's a line journal, then do that. Create an amazing cover and do that as a starting point while you tinker away at your book. Okay. But yeah, Chanel's Creations, if you want to go look it up. And she's pretty awesome. She does a lot of stuff. This is the one thing that she did that was smart, which I did not do. I give her 1,000% credit for that. Is she went after all the teachers and all of the organizations that support the autism community and asked them if they needed anything. So she creates custom products and she sells stuff in volume, which is what I was saying before. So she is literally connecting to, like, however many schools in the Dallas, Plano, Frisco, Dallas, and the special needs administrators, and creating things for them. And they're buying stuff in bulk. She's also made connections with ABA therapists, speech therapists, occupational therapists. I didn't do that. I took a different route, but she's done an amazing job. So she does this on her own. She does not have staff because her kids, much like sometimes when I have to stop and work with Nicholas, is like she has 2 of them and sometimes they elope. So she has one staff person that comes to the house to help her with her boys, but she has nobody helping her with her business. She does this all on her own. And I can remember her first listing, and then it's taken her time, and she just whittled away at it, one thing at a time. Once you create it, you don't have to create it again. It exists forever. Once you create it, you don't have to create it again. So I don't know if this is inspiration for you or not. I hope that it was. I think she's amazing. She's my hero because I know her story. And it's difficult to be a single mom doing this. and to have special needs kids on top of that. So, any questions? What questions can I answer? What information? Did this help? Did this not help? Is this anything? Hello? Am I alone again? Hello, Clarice. All right. Well, I don't
You're
know.
not alone, and that is actually very helpful. Yeah, you're not alone, Nika. And I like her store.
Yeah, her story is nice. I mean, it's not complicated. It's not any of that, and so you can go check it out. And I just think she's done an amazing job, and she did this one design at a time. I'm telling you, she and I think we started. I started a year before she did, and she's still doing this one design at a time. So you don't have to do anything elaborate. And if you're going to do one design at a time, you just need to be prepared that it's going to be a longer journey. But it's okay. You can get there. Making connections, figuring out what community you can serve. So if you're going to do smoothie recipes and things like that, you might want to get with some mom and pop shops that are, selling smoothies and see if there's anything you can do to support them, or nutritionist offices, and see if there's anything that you can do to support them. Offer your book to them, or offer your recipes to them, or guides to them as materials. Offer to allow them to put their name on your product, so you're the creator and they can pay you for those services. See, we don't think big enough sometimes, and I don't want to overwhelm you guys, so come back and listen to this later, but you can go beyond what you think right now, and that is what Chanel did, that I did.
Uh-oh.
To say, hey, I've got these quick recipes if you want to offer them to your patrons, or I have an ebook. If you want to offer it as your own, you can do that, and this is my royalty. And then the same thing with your whatever you decide to do, whether it's going to be devotionals, journals, whatever it's going to be. Like, there's so many churches, and they order products from, I mean, a lot of them will order stuff from Mardell, or they got a big catalog that they can order stuff from. So get to know the church secretary and find out where they're ordering their supplies from, and see what you can do to compete with that on a bigger scale, or get your products in that catalog. Whatever you create, the journals for teens, the journals for seniors, the journals for couples, the journals for recently divorced, whatever it happens to be. Figure out how you can partner with churches in your area. We know, those of us that are in Texas, there's an abundance of churches. I mean, like, you could throw a dart. You're not going to go far from a church around here. There's a lot of them. I mean, I'm sure that's the same way across the U.S., but we have a lot of churches, and we got a lot of big churches here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So making connections can help you to be able to sell volume. And that was what she did. She sold volume. So yeah, you can follow her. I think she's amazing. All right. Well, I think that's it. I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you for your grace and mercy at the beginning. Thank you for your patience at the beginning. I apologize, we were out and about, but tomorrow we're going to come back and we're going to continue working on this book situation. So know that you can do this. All right.
All right. All right.
I will talk with you all tomorrow. Have a blessed evening.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.